Hello, I'm Blackberry Dragon, and you're watching my speedrun of Full Bore Any Percent, performed on August 19th, 2023. Timing will start when we press the button to confirm which boar we'll be playing as, either Frederick or Hildy. I'll be playing as Frederick. The first thing we'll do is fall into this minefield and stay at the closest wall. For Frederick, that means hugging the left wall, but for Hildy, it'll be the right wall. That's where the first explosion appears, which lets us down into the game. Full Bore is a block puzzler at heart, but it also has elements of open world exploration, collection, and action. Think of it as a puzzle enthusiast Metroidvania with lots of lore to discover. We've fallen deep into an underground civilization full of technological stuff. Ages before us, humans had built these cities, but they are long gone. And now sentient animals live, work, and have built over the ruins. And while we wait for our boar to wake up, want to do some quick thank yous to some folks on the Steam discussion board for this game. Adelian, Brezu, and Kain Zantazuken. They contributed to some of the strategies in this run. For this first section, the game will not let you stomp to continue until you dig into the sand over on our left here. It wants you to teach you how to use the rewind function to get out of situations where you're stuck. If you're using a controller, you can use the trigger to climb rather than moving diagonally. It's generally faster to do this because you can hold the trigger before you get to an obstacle and your boar will automatically scramble up things as they're encountered. So long as the next step is exactly one block high and there's space for your boar to be. We'll push this block around and use it as a step to dig through the gem in the wall. Stomp can also be used to clear away sand, which can impede our progress from pushing blocks into it. We've stumbled upon a rocket launch pad, which, according to the terminal we've just passed, was intended to send sensors into space, but we'll soon discover that somebody else has built a vault over the rocket's path. A vault which has just been looted, and we're about to take the blame. When we exit, we'll meet Gullenbursty, the big boss boar of the Full Bore Mining Company, who conscripts us into service to pay back our supposed theft by mining gems, and sends us to talk to the foreman boar, Dean. We're mashing A here through Gullenbursty's dialogue, but when we encounter Dean a few screens to our right, we can skip his dialogue completely by holding A while we run into him. If we don't do that, he stops us and forces some dialogue on us, but instead what happens is that the game interprets our actions as our boar initiated conversation with him first, and because there's no dialogue box programmed for that interaction, nothing happens. Our stomp has an area of effect that can quicken the delay on blocks about to fall, so we'll be doing that quite a lot. Since this is an any percent run, we don't need to go after any gems, so the vast majority of puzzles can simply be bypassed. Normally, one of our fellow worker boars will be giving us an electronic device that serves as our map, our inventory, and our gem counter. But since we just used the dialogue skip with him, we also skip gaining that game functionality. Fortunately, we've got the map memorized. We're on our way to meet Hildy, our rival boar, who will challenge us to a race to the bottom of a mine shaft full of stuff. We need to get an item from her in order to unlock the next area. In most cases, down dash is obviously faster than falling, but we don't do it for short falls of less than 4 blocks since the landing animation makes it not worth it. We also don't do it whenever there's scaffold in the way or where we don't want to disturb blocks when we're landing. We'll also be using the speed digging mechanic, in which the more you dig of a single dirt type in succession, the faster you can go through that dirt type. The effect fades if you stop and outright cancels when you run into a different dirt type, so we'll choose a path that sends us through a single dirt type, and by strategically stomping, we get rid of sand or ash that would interrupt that speed. Hildy tries to impede our progress by throwing blocks into our way, but there's an instance near the bottom where we can force her to break her speed digging, By stomping in a particular spot, which deletes the sand on our side but preserves hers. Now she can't speed dig down these stones. First one who falls down this corner drop wins the race. And the item that we'll get from her is the Samaflange, which, if you don't know what that's a reference to, you can try looking up Thundercat's outtakes on the internet. Fair warning, it contains a lot of swearing. Now that we have that, we can make our way to the drill mechanic. Our drill mechanic's name is Wotan, and this giant drill gets us to the next section. But in order for it to do that, we need to clear the drill path of purple crates so we don't all explode. The drill run is essentially another race where we'll make use of speed digging, and there's a few puzzles thrown in for good measure. Go. This is our first set of purple crates. We'll push the battery to the laser to destroy them, which will also give us a path to continue. The laser doesn't hurt us, so we don't have to wait for it to stop in order to move on. And for this set of purple crates, you need to get the battery in the right position by digging out this wooden crate and using it as a platform. And in the final iteration of this puzzle, the laser that we need to get to is 4 blocks off the floor. So we need to organize these crates in such a way so we can push the whole stack and the battery on top. And then we need to wait here for the drill to help us move this block out of the way. We'll leave Wotan to continue working on the drill while we keep going lower. Pretty soon we'll encounter puzzles that involve levitation blocks. I don't know if that's the official name, that's just what I call them, or lev blocks for short. We've walked across these at the very beginning of the game. As long as there's a clear path, they immediately rise to your level when you're in a column on either side of them. You can use them to cross gaps horizontally, but they cannot raise or lower you directly, so they can impede your progress if you're trying to go up or down. We're on our way to the story item called the Master Tap, which is kind of a dimensional doorway into the in-between, a space where we normally go when we dream, but currently it's under the influence of a mysterious entity called the Interloper. This malevolent force tries to warp the minds of the populace using feelings of paranoia and self-doubt to wreak havoc on any worlds that it encounters in order to get them to destroy themselves. It's one of the reasons that humans are no longer around. While we pass up some more gem puzzles, we're going to use some blocks as weights to get past a couple of lead blocks in our way. And here we've got to clear some exploding blocks to wind our way down to the door. Coming up is a clever little exploit to get into the final door of this section early. We'll lower this lead block up as high as it will go, and as it is falling, we've got a few frames where we can step up to it. This is one of my favorite sections. I just love the background and the lighting here. And now we are dreaming while teleporting through the in-between. Here we'll encounter an otherworldly being called Cold, which has a bunch of dialogue about the interloper and how his world was destroyed. But we'll skip most of it using Brezu's dialogue skip trick, and that whittles his long-winded speech down to just 2 bubbles. Because we skipped Dean's dialogue in the beginning of the game, it's going to play that now, overlaid with the current conversation and animation between Dean and Gullenbursty. Their plan is to send me to the next area, Bhudevi, and the following area, Moletown, to try to figure out why the rest of the miners have gone missing. When we regain control, we'll have the key to the next area. Having the dig site lit up at night is a very nice touch by the developers. We'll need to stomp down a spring here to cross a gap to get to the door. Bhudevi is a section with lots of doors that crisscross all over the place, which makes the 100% run interesting. But here we're just going to make a beeline to the other foreman of the mining company, Varaha. These pink and blue blocks are switches that toggle on and off when you dig them. We can use them as stairs if they're set up in a certain way. Hilda is here trying to help us out. The dialogue skip doesn't work here since it's considered a cutscene. She basically says that Varaha was no help, so she's skipping the temple and going to find the resident tech wizard Matheson instead. And she's not wrong. Varaha here is not that much of a help, but he is rather cute. He gives us info about the area and tells us that the temple does have a library run by an otter with a whole bunch of lore in it, but we'll elect not to do that and follow Hildy because that will be where the first end credits will be to finish the any % run. Just want to mention here that if you think this game looks interesting, I highly recommend getting it if you like block puzzlers. It's really unique for its genre, and the setting is just really imaginative. It's inexpensive, full price being only $15, and it's not short. I mean, I'm skipping a ton of stuff on this run. I would say that the average playtime for full completion is about 30 to 40 hours. Here in this section we've got a few new block types. We've got fragile crates, slag blocks, and rusty scaffolding, all of which crumble when you step off of them. Often when I need to get rid of fragile crates, it's faster to run over them rather than dig through them. but sometimes you do need to dig through them in order to preserve other boxes that you need to push around. We've just come up on the entrance of Moletown. Some trivia here is that the green sign that the word Moletown covers up says Santa Rosa, which is in California, close to where I live. Developers also live in California, at least at the time of the game was made, and one of them even went to the art program that I went through at San Jose State University. We're making our way through the maze that is the Scrapyard. This section is filled with gem puzzles, but most of them are completely optional, so we'll avoid what we can and get to Matheson as quickly as possible. So this bridge here coming up is not active, so we have no choice but to make a detour with this X block and go down in through the bottom. We'll need to solve half of this puzzle in order to proceed, and we do that by stomping on arrow blocks, which move one space in the direction they indicate for every stomp. When they hit a battery, they change direction clockwise, which allows us to trigger this fuse, which will Rube Goldberg a way out of the puzzle, so we just need to get back over there. This battery is our result of our triggering that fuse. All of these green switches are pretty much just for aesthetics. We don't need them for anything. I think Matheson, like a lot of PC enthusiasts, just likes to decorate with LEDs. We do need to solve this puzzle here in order to get past to the top level. And like before, the gem is not important, but it just happens to be in our way. So we need to push an up arrow block into a position where it can elevate us to the next platform. Digging the blue switch here activates the bridge, but we don't need it anymore. But we can just dig the pink one and head out. And this is Matheson. He is our technology expert, and he's going to send us into the in-between using the teleporter in the room. Turns out the interloper has kidnapped our co-workers and is psychologically tormenting them in dream space. So we're going to go in and bust them out. As this cutscene ends, we're going to spam the stomp button so that we immediately down dash into the next section. The hologram of Matheson is there in case we need rescuing ourselves, but we know what we're doing. There's 3 groups of our fellow miners, which we could do in any order, but I like to start with these 3 over here. And we'll rescue them by talking to them, but also by solving puzzles. This first level here, we're going to fashion ourselves an elevator of sorts, and there will be a task for us on each level as we go down. On the first level, there's a battery and a laser which we need to take with us, so it's just a matter of filling the gaps in the floor and getting both of those items onto our platform. Had a little moment fighting with my controller there. And as we move down to the next level, the task here is to adjust the positions of these two other lasers atop stacks of boxes on the sides. For the left side, we delete 2 of the crates and push the stack over once. And for the right side, we dig through the crate at the bottom, then push the stack back as far as it'll go, digging through and deleting the other crate in the process. And now we can get to the bottom level where we push our battery and our laser to the left wall, which triggers 3 colors of switches and lets us pass the blocks to our right. Right when the laser hits that piece of floor, we'll stomp. And we'll warp back to the hub once we talk to each of the 3 boars. We've assuaged their fears with a little bit of therapy, and the interloper can't keep them trapped anymore. We're gonna down dash and go right back in. This time around, we're going to rescue Wotan, our drill master. Wotan's levels are all about purple fuse blocks. First puzzle is pretty chaotic, but it's consistent in terms of the timing. We're just going to target a certain block to stand on while things are happening around us. And I like to call this next part waiting for the elevator. We'll set up this spring on the pink block and race to the top. We want to get up to that scaffold before the floor goes out beneath us. And the last of Wotan's puzzles is somewhat intricate, and we're going to use certain explosions to build a bridge through the middle level. We don't wait for any of these springs to fall. Every time we return to the hub, we mash down dash to fall out of the teleporter as quickly as possible, and there will be 1 more set of boars to save. We'll run past the old boar Cletus, who we don't rescue since he's perfectly happy near the bottom there. He's our equivalent of the dog that says this is fine. Our last 2 boars are on this tower, which I accidentally just fell off of. So what we need to do here is to dig all 3 colors of switches, which will let us pass through the next room. And we have to set up these blocks in such a way that we only touch the floor 3 times. We've used up the first pass simply by moving that 1X closer to the pink switch. On this pass, we finalize the blocks for the pink switch and set up the starting blocks for the green by making a little V. And the third pass will be the final pass, since these crumbling scaffolds prevent us from using each elevator button more than once. We'll need the last button to leave the puzzle when we're done. We'll dig the pink switch, then stomp down both of these blocks to the green switch. And now we'll reuse these blocks to set up a formation for the final switch. There's a mistake there. I needed to rewind. And now we can use the final elevator button and traverse the next area. There's only one block left to dig, and that will be our last puzzle. And all we need to do now is talk to a few boars and trigger the end credits. We'll talk to Matheson once more because he wants to give us his wizard hat. And time stops once we go through this final door. Thanks for watching this run of Full Bore Any %. As of right now, I am the only listed player on the speedrun.com leaderboard for this game. So please, if you enjoy this game, please consider trying and submitting a run of your own. I also have strategies for the 100% run, where we get all the gems, all the shrines, all the dark eyes, and then go kill the interloper in under 2.5 hours. You can watch that run on YouTube here with or without commentary in the links below. So good luck, happy digging, and we'll see you later.